So, I say it again, where creativity, eros, and embodiment meet, we thrive. We feel alive, inspired, and connected with our bodies, with our hearts, with our purpose even, and with one another. This is a place of great power. The author of the erotic novel Fear of Flying, Erica Jong, says this: if sex and creativity are often seen by dictators as subversive activities, it's because they lead to the knowledge that you own your own body, and with that, your own voice. And that's the most revolutionary insight of all. So when sex and creativity come together in an embodied way, we can feel a great sense of empowerment and agency. This is the place I love working in, to support folks to meet their eros and ignite it through creativity and through fun ways and playful ways to become embodied. And yes, embodiment can be challenging for many and for many reasons, and I really know about this. It took me a long time in my life to land in my body, but I believe we can neither work out a creative project nor sex purely in our heads. We need the body. So sex and creativity have a lot in common. First of all, they are both our divine birthright. Who's with me on this? Yay! They are powerful life force energies that flow through our lives like an underground river, and we get to tap into them. And we need imagination, fantasy, inspiration, energy, and play for the best creations and for good sex, would you say? Yeah. And there needs to be some desire, some spark in both. And every novel, at least, needs to have a climax. So how can we engage the powerful source of creativity to spark, to ignite eros? Hang on, you might say, well, I'm not creative. So to that, I want to say, I believe everyone is creative. To be alive is creative. Now, you might not play in the realms of art with a capital, whatever that is. But you might bring up a child. You might tend to a garden or bake or make a mandala in the sand. You know, we are all creative. And with both creativity and sex, for me, it starts with permission. We need to give ourselves permission to create, permission to show up, to be playful, to dream. So how can creativity be a spark for eros? I believe when we bring fantasy and imagination, when we fill our erotic well with it, that will serve our erotic lives. So this could be just reading or even writing erotica or sharing fantasy. And eros loves play, right? When we create, we can tap into our playful sides, which in turn might help us to really engage with sex in a freer and more playful way. We might play out fantasies. We might role play. We might go on a play date. We might go even to a play party. You see how important play is in this realm. Also, when we allow ourselves to experiment, to be curious and less precious about the outcome in creating, when we create just for the hell of it, for the joy of making stuff, and when we bring this attitude to sex, that can change so much. Lastly, sometimes when we create something spontaneously or unconsciously, so we might doodle or we might free write, suddenly we might meet something there. Something might come to the surface that we might have shunned or suppressed, that wants to be met, that wants to be seen, acknowledged, maybe healed, or maybe it might just need a space, a stage to shine on. On my own journey of reclaiming my sexuality after trauma, feeling very disconnected from my body and very trapped in a non-sexual long-term relationship, for me, creative tools were really, really important, be that writing, role play, painting. And one of the things I discovered and played with is working with erotic archetypes, and that's what I want to share with you. So, what are archetypes? It's a term coined by the psychoanalyst C.G. Jung, who believes that there's a collective unconscious that gets passed down through the generations, and holding within that are symbols and patterns of behavior that he calls archetypes. So some archetypes he mentions are the hero, the outlaw, the explorer, the creator, the ruler, the magician, the lover. So we all embody different archetypes at different times in our lives. What I'm excited about was to explore what erotic archetypes are there and how can we work with them to help us in our own erotic lives. So some examples of erotic archetypes might be, and I start with my favorite, which is the sacred slut. Woohoo! Yeah. Thank you, Jem. Some come in pairs. So if you think of dominant and submissive, master, slave, predator, prey, it could be the seductress, the femme fatale, a king, queen, a porn star, a virgin, wild woman, the wild beast. But also from mythology, it might be god forms and goddesses, Aphrodite, Pan, Medusa, the horned god. Even intersex gods like Hermaphrodite. So one thing I love about archetype work is that almost all archetypes I mentioned there are very gendered, but they can also be a beautiful way of playing with gender. So we can queer them, we can gender bend them. So for instance, I identify as a woman, and I might well choose to work with the archetype of the seductress, the femme fatale, but I also might choose to embody an emperor or a horned god or a master. So archetypes help us to embody certain energies and qualities we want to cultivate in our erotic lives. So how does this work? Over about 3-hour session, I'll create a kind of laboratory where we slip into a different skin, a different persona, and really feel that in the body. Initially, I ask folks, and you can ask that yourself, when it comes to your romantic, sexual, erotic lives, is there a particular role you like to play? And also, is there one that you would love to play, but you don't quite know how? Maybe you're shy or embarrassed, or you don't quite know how to access that. So all of that might be really great clues. I invite people to bring anything they want to the session, but I also have a lot of things there, props and masks and images. Then I take people through a process that includes more inquiry, movement, guided meditation, and take them through a process where they gather together things. And then we land on one archetype. And then I guide them into this skin, energetically, and of course a costume can be one of really slipping into. And once they connect, how do you breathe? How do you feel? How is your energy moving? How would you like to relate from this place with the world? How do you see yourself in the mirror? How would you like to engage erotically from this place? An important aspect of this work is also being witnessed. And I'm there as the guide, but also the witness. And I also witness with the camera. And at the end, we look together at the images. And you know, there often is a gap between how we see ourselves, how we feel, and seeing ourselves. So in coming together, we bridge that gap. And also this is often a real powerful moment of reclamation, of really taking in and of coming home. Some have described this, and I have felt this, as a form of soul retrieval, bringing back a really important part of us. I want to close with showing some of my journey. This first one I call the gazelle. This is a very soft side of mine, a submissive side. Worked with rope. And the other is engaging with this statuette of the snake priestess, and then